Yo, good evening, family. This your bro, True Jew, tapping in with you as the voice, as the host of the Voice of Zion. Um, so something that came to my spirit when I got off the last live stream, and I want to bring it up real quick. I won't keep y'all too long, but I want to give you something to marinate on and to think about. Any of y'all who have been supporting this channel up to this point was around when we did the Tabernacles, the Feast of Tabernacles this year. A lot of y'all know, most of y'all know, that I left the Bay Area this year and I left it for the set apart land. I left it for the countryside. I left it for the rural side of things. And leaving the city like that, it was a lot that I had to learn. There's a lot that I had to begin to incorporate into my daily walk because I'm on the land now. During the course of being on the land, a lot of y'all would hear me say things like, well, because I'm here now, I have an opportunity to really observe the the high holy days of the Most High in a real way, in a way where it's like I'm in the land like our ancestors and ancestresses was. So now I can utilize the resources of the land in a very special way and do my best to follow through with the blueprint that was established for us in the Torah, in the Tanakh, as far as how to build certain structures, how to observe the high holy days of the Most High, the feast days, the festival days, the set apart days, in honor of the Most High and in honor of the blessing of being able to leave the city. Many of y'all also know that while I was out here, I made it known that I had I had prayer time, many days of prayer, where I was questioning on knowing that the Feast of Tabernacles was coming up, what trees I should cut down, right? Y'all remember me saying that, right? What trees should I cut down? Because I'm around all these natural resources now, but being a city boy, country at heart, but being a city boy my whole life, I never had to deal with cutting down trees. I never had to deal with being in a place where there's so much life and so much vibrant growth that I wasn't sure if one tree was old, if one tree was younger, if one tree was sick, if one tree was healthy. So I had to pray on the guidance and direction I was going to have to take so that my boys and I can uh, build up this tabernacle for this year because we see all the natural resources. We like, okay, well, we got the pine, we got the bowls of branches, we got the tree trunks, we got everything we need to make a tabernacle, but we just don't necessarily have the knowledge right now on what trees are the ones we should actually cut because we don't want to just get to cutting the trees and that could be a tree used for another tabernacle, a later in life, a later in time. We want it to mature. Trees are life too. And that's going to get to my point. In the scriptures, people are known as trees. The Most High identifies trees and people synonymously. Okay? So keep this in mind. So as I was praying on how to guide my boys and myself through this situation so that we could observe the Feast of Tabernacles, I go outside to one of the back parcels of land back there, and I see that beavers then came all into the area and actually chopped down trees. So many trees that I now had the opportunity to pick the branches and the trunks and all of the trees that I needed to construct this tabernacle this year, and I didn't have to cut down a single one. All I had to do was prune off the ceiling of the thatch out of the pine needles and the pine leaves for the roofing on the tabernacle. And I knew how to do that, just pruning the bottom branches off of the pine trees and allowing the rest of the pine tree, the top, the bottom mid and the mid top, all of them to keep on growing, right? That's what we did. But as I went back there 2, 3 days ago, I noticed that the beavers were still chopping down trees. They chopped down so many trees that I was able to now have a clear path, and all there are is about 8 inches to a foot worth of trunk standing out in many places in the back here. They was getting busy, y'all. And this whole time, I was just thankful and grateful that I didn't have to put my axe to anything to chop it down myself, and that the Most High answered my prayers, sent another of his creatures to the land in order to knock them trees down. Because that's when I found out beavers have the ability to sense what trees need to stay and what trees need to be chopped down. Beavers have that sense. You wonder, how are they picking all these trees? How is this tree chosen but this tree isn't? How was this tree picked but this tree isn't? Because the beavers have been blessed with that gift by the Most High to decide and determine what trees are which. Now, I felt it getting cold out here, and I was like, well, I wonder where the beavers are going to go when it starts snowing. I wonder where the beavers are going to go when wintertime comes. So it made me do due diligence on beavers. Come to find out that one of the reasons the beavers were doing all of this is not only because they were sent by the Most High to help me decide which trees to use for this tabernacle, but also because beavers hibernate during the wintertime. And all throughout the summer and the fall, they're gathering resources and supplies to take into their dens for the long winter ahead. Now, what does this have to do with midterm elections? What does this have to do with this lunar event that's taking place in a few hours starting tomorrow on the Gregorian time scale? All right, well, here it goes. The reason that this is called a beaver moon, a beaver full moon, uh, hold on real quick. Let me put my charger on real quick. Let me see. Y'all give me one moment. All right, excuse me. The reason that this is called a beaver full moon is because at this time every November, the beaver full moon happens one time a year. It happens every November. That full moon is called the Beaver full moon because it coincides with all of the beavers gathering the last of their supplies to go into hibernation, to go into their den. However, it also coincides with the time, particularly in North America, where the trappers and the hunters, back in the day when trapping and hunting animals was prevalent, the trappers and the hunters would count on this time to target the beavers because that's when the beavers had the thickest and furriest pelts. A pelt is their fur, their skin attached to their fur, so that hunters and trappers can make skins to wear. And the beaver skin and pelt and fur was so valuable at this time because that's when it was at its thickest. So what am I saying? If a beaver at this time did not gather up its resources and its supplies in a timely manner and then go and begin to live in its den and begin to enjoy the fruits of its labor by staying in a comfort, warm place while the winter begins to rage on, then they would be trapped outside, literally and figuratively. They wouldn't have a den. And because they were trying to hurry up, because they were trying to move as fast as they could outside to pick up for lost time, that's when the hunters and the trappers would catch them. Okay? So if the beaver didn't prepare properly, it would be caught and trapped by hunters and trappers and killed. Now, let's bring it up to date. Tomorrow, starting this morning, around 3 or so, if you're on the East Coast, we will see the second of the blood moons for this year and the last blood moon until 2025. We won't see another blood moon or lunar eclipse for another 3 years. Now, please hear me carefully. It was placed on my heart after I got off the live stream that I had to come back and talk to y'all about this. I feel that this is very ominous, and I feel like something major is going to take place. So I wanted to provide a moment of warning to all of my people and all of those who tune into this channel so that you could be aware of the spiritual connotations about this. Remember, I said I had to pray about how to chop that tree down in wood, and I didn't chop down a single one? and the Most High sent them beavers to my land, and the beavers are the ones who chop down everything for me? Okay. Remember how I said that in the Bible that trees are typified or synonymous with people? Well, what I didn't say yet is that Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15, tells us that the Most High would choose a king for us as Israelite people, and that we shouldn't ever, under any circumstances, place a foreigner over us to rule us. Well, the midterm elections are just that. They're another opportunity for our oppressors and our captives, whether they are captives from old or the descendants of those. They are still in the power in this country. And this is another opportunity for them to be ruled over us. Okay? They are having another opportunity in their renewal of ruling over us. Okay? Now, I find it very interesting that at the tip of this election, all of a sudden last week and 2 weeks ago starting, we have this upsurge in the identity of who the true Israelites are. All of the world time hearing on a grand stage that the so-called Negroes are truly the Israelites of the Bible. We've seen all sort of pushback and fight back from the powers that be to continue to suppress this truth. But it just so happens that this truth is reaching a climactic revelation, a climactic manifestation in the land. And it coincides with these midterm elections. Now, why do I say this? The more we wake up and increase our knowledge as Hebrew Israelites, the more we're to cleave back unto the law, statutes, and commands of the Most High. And the more people are curious about their true ancestry, in regards to so-called African Americans and so-called Negroes, we'll begin to get deeper into the scriptures, into the Torah, and we'll see, oh, wow, we're not supposed to have nobody over us that's not our brother anyway. The king of our people should be one of us, not a foreigner, not our captor. Now, this is where it gets really, really funky. Them beavers were sent to chop down those trees. The beavers are also identified as products or creatures that can be killed for the product that they provide in the form of their pelt. But only the beavers who have not prepared, only the beavers who are not yet hibernating, they're the ones who are scragglers, who are outside in the open, trying to catch up, trying to get supplies ready for the winter, who are caught off guard and who are killed. We're coming into a blood moon. In a few hours, all over the world, the blood moon, the full moon will begin to eclipse and go into the final blood moon that we will see not only for this year, but in the next 3 years. It just so happens that this blood moon is going to take place hours before it is time for people all over the nation to go to the polling centers where the elections will be had, where people can vote. Okay? At the same time, more and more of our people are waking up to who we are. But it just so happens that most of our people who are even awakening to who we are still in the throes of the Babylonian system, are still lost in the sauce, are still contemplating on not whether this information that's being brought forth is true. And because of that, many of our own people who still believe in this system are going to go and participate in the voting tomorrow. Just like that beaver who prepared and got its surplus up and now is hiding in hibernation and is setting itself apart from the rest of the creatures in the forest, that is the same thing that we were called to do when we recognize who we are. We're to set ourselves apart and we're to prepare. We're to cry aloud in this day and we're to help our brother and our sister move forward and closer to the Most High through the truth of who we are. However, there will be many of us who do not want to adhere to the truth and who do not want to adhere to our true identity. And it is those of us who, because we refuse to see the truth and we refuse to see who we are, we will get caught up. We will get caught by the hunter and the trapper, and we will get taken out. I feel as though this blood moon is very ominous. So, what I'm asking you, because it is not a normal eclipse, It is a blood moon. We've had many full moons. The moon is full right now, but it is moving closer and closer into eclipse. And when it goes into that eclipse phase, it is going to be a blood moon. Now, with everything that I just said, we can look at the moon as being a representative of the law. Okay? How do we know this? Our ancient ancestors, our Hebrew Israelite ancestors, and scholars used the moon in order to keep the days of the time that we were living in. There was a point in our history when we did not use the sun or the calendar to tell us what day we were in. This is why the scriptures teach us from evening to evening is a day. Thank you, family. From evening to evening is our day, not from 12 a.m. to 12 a.m., not from sunrise to sunrise, but from evening to evening. And the reason for that is the only time of the day when we can see the placement of the stars and, more importantly, what phase the moon is in. Our ancestors originally kept the Shabbat or the Sabbath by what phase the moon was in. When we saw the new moon, that first crescent, that waxing moon, that's when we knew that it was the first day of the month. And counting from there, we would establish the Shabbat for that particular month or moon. So the lunar moon is very important to us as a people. For it to go into full eclipse and lunar blood eclipse in the Beaver time of the year, the Beaver moon, that's what made me feel that what is going to happen tomorrow is very ominous. We know that there's a lot of energy that is being harvested by the powers that be right now to continue to perpetuate evil in this land. We also know that many of us are waking up, but that waking up is just a stirring up right now, and many of us are not doing the due diligence that it takes to confirm what it is that is being brought before us. And because we are failing to confirm what it is, and standing our ground and staying solidified in the truth, many of us will still find ourselves a part of this Babylonian wicked system. If we find ourselves a part of this Babylonian wicked system, we will think that our votes and our participation in it will effectuate the change that we seek to have amongst our people. But the Most High says, get out, come out of her, my people. Come out of her, my people. And that starts with a mental coming out of. That starts with the separation of the spirit, leaving this place alone. Peace, Brother Carlton. That's what this starts with. And all of our people who are going to participate in tomorrow's midterm elections are going to be playing with fire. I don't want to see our people chopped down. But just like the beavers went into my land, well, the land that I'm caretaking over, how is it my land? I was just placed here. You know, we say my and I own and all of this because of where we are in the society. But I'm a caretaker of the creation of the Most High. That is my role as Adam, as a man of Israel. So as I go back there to the land and after prayer, and I see that the beavers have come and chopped down the trees that I need for tabernacles, that's when it hit me. How could I be brought out here from the Bay Area, from the concrete jungle, all to the resources of this naturally blessed land and not observe the law, statutes, and commands of the Most High? I mentioned to you all, if I did not lead my family to this point where we were observing the high holy days, now that we're actually on this land, something bad would happen to your bruh, true Jew. Because now I have all the ability, not only in my being awakened, but also in my fortitude to be able to utilize and leverage the resources on this land to observe the law, statutes, and commands that the Most High asked us to observe. If I failed and I didn't participate in tabernacles to showcase to my children and to y'all, my family here, on how we must construct the tabernacles, how we must be obedient when we are placed in positions to be obedient, I would be chopped down myself. But instead, the Most High has made me like the smart beaver who has been preparing for the cold winter ahead. So when I go into my den for this winter, When I take my family into the place where we are supposed to be set apart, I do not have to worry about the hunter or the trapper coming to kill me and mine and take me and mine out. And transferring that to the spiritual level, I do not have to worry about not being prepared spiritually because I have done the due diligence to confirm that I am truly a child of Israel and therefore have done all in my power to adhere to the law, statutes, and commands that we are asked to observe as children of Israel. Therefore, I will not find myself or my family in the mix of Babylon's system, especially at a time where they're saying everybody needs to go out and vote. They even stop basketball games, I'm hearing, tomorrow because the propaganda to get all of the so-called African Americans out to vote is so high. My people, come out of her. Come out of her. Come out of her. I am hoping that if you or your families find yourself in a position to vote tomorrow, that you think twice about this. The scriptures tell us not to place any foreigner over us. That means that once you are reawakened to who you are, you do not participate in this Babylonian system. You do not participate in voting for the president. You don't participate in voting for the mayor. You don't participate in voting for the governor. You don't participate in voting for no senators and no House of Representatives because they are not senators who represent you. They are not representatives who represent our house of Yasharala. They represent the house of the synagogue of Satan. They do not represent us and the Most High's children. So when you know this, do not go to these places. I feel any of us or any people who go to those places, they're going to be trapped just like the beaver who did not prepare, who did not do what he needed to do and what she needed to do during the times of their preparing to move into the den with all the supplies that they needed so that they didn't have to be out in the open. Those of us who feel like we can participate in this election, I think we're going to be very sorry. I'm asking y'all right now, keep your heads on a swivel. Tomorrow might seem like any other day, and it very well might be. But when you see that this blood moon is landing on the Beaver blood moon, and we're not going to see another blood moon for 3 whole years. The next time we'll see it is the year after the next presidential election. We know, based off of everything that has been revealed to us this year, how wild of a ride this year has been. We also know that at the beginning of November, in this country as of late, we have seen an upsurge in many killings. We have seen an upsurge in many mass shootings. We have seen an upsurge in many of the debasement that goes on through the land. Please, family, don't get caught up in the mess. Don't get caught with your drawers down. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't get caught up in the madness. That's what your brother True Jew is asking you right now. This is what was placed on my heart in regards to this lunar eclipse. And it's not a normal eclipse, y'all. It's a blood moon. Okay? It's a blood moon. Many of us will be asleep, getting ready to go into the voting poll places tomorrow, failing to realize that there's a blood moon that just took place over us. I'm asking y'all whose eyes are awake and whose ears are open to consider what I'm saying, especially if you think that you still need to go out and vote. Please think twice about this and recognize your position in this land right now. We are at a great, great, great awakening. The powers that be are absolutely threatened. We are also in Jacob's trouble, and Jacob's trouble will continue to increase as the birth pains of this world continue to increase. The contractions of this world continue to increase until Babylon the Great has fallen. We are in a direct threat to the powers that be when we are fully awakened. And anything that they can do in their power to keep us blind and dumb, that is what they're going to do. It's no holds bar. It's no holds bar. And you see, we are in 2022 has been a series of distractions, and it's not going to stop. So I'm asking y'all to pay attention. Pay attention. As millions of people go out to these polling places, it's prime opportunity for the hunter and the trapper to take advantage of many people who do not know what's coming. So I'm asking y'all to look at the signs. Make sense of them for yourself. Allow the Most High to guide you in your heart, to keep you, to lead you, to protect you. All right? You know, I don't like to come with no fear tactics. You know, I don't like to be no fear monger. You know, I'm not with all the scary stuff, but I am with the Most High. And this was placed on my heart after I got off that last live stream. And I said, I got to talk to my people. I got to talk to our people. I have to share this because I'm here on the land. Out of everybody do you know anybody that's had experience with beavers in the last 2 months? Do you know anybody who's had experience and can say that there's beavers on their land in their backyard chopping down trees after serious prayer about what trees to chop down? I don't know why that was like that, except for my immediate reason, which was to build this tabernacle. But look at the building of the tabernacle as the preparation to be set apart. Look at the building and the honoring of the high holy days as getting up your supplies to be set apart for this long winter ahead. Those of us who didn't participate in the high holy days of the Most High, but is clamoring to go into Thanksgiving, who got dressed for Halloween, who's getting ready for Christmas, those are like the beavers who are out in the open for the hunter to trap them. Those of us who observe the high holy days, those of us who are preparing our homes, those of us who are seeing the truth of the scriptures come to life before us and are moving according to the calling placed over us, they are like the smart beavers who are in the dens, set apart from the rest of the world. Please be like the smart beaver who is set apart from the rest of the world and come out of her, my people. Come out of her, my people. Come out of her, my people. It's your bro True Jew tapping in with y'all the only way I know how, raw, really uncut. Thank y'all for y'all time and thank y'all for hitting that like button. I really appreciate y'all and I love y'all to life. I hope that you are able to contemplate what it is I said because this message was delivered to me about 30, 45 minutes ago and it made so much sense to me and I had to share it with y'all right now. All right. Much love to y'all. Peace and light always. Protection from the divine place. I love y'all always. Stay vigilant. Stay blessed. Text somebody in your family. If you know that you set apart right now and your family is still on the fence, please text your granny, text your mama, text your daddy, text your brothers, text your sisters, whoever is still inundated with this propaganda, and ask them to reconsider going out to vote tomorrow. I'm sure you might get pushback, but you might get somebody to say, you know what? I was feeling that I shouldn't go out tomorrow and I was praying for a sign. And now here you go telling me not to vote, suggesting to me not to go out tomorrow. Please be that voice of reason to your loved ones because I don't feel good about tomorrow. And I feel like this is going to be another opportunity for a psyop. I feel like this is going to be another opportunity for something very decrepit to happen. Okay? Shalom. Shalom, Queen Sister. Shalom, Queen Sister. I thank y'all for joining in with me tonight. I love y'all to life always. Most of my Papa willing, I'll be back with another one. But until then, gone. And y'all have a beautiful evening.